My Game Week 12 score predictions for the 2023/24 Premier League season. We start off with the 12:30 kickoff on the Saturday. It is Wolverhampton Wanderers against Tottenham at the Molineux. Wolverhampton Wanderers in their last game picked up the first defeat in a while. It came against probably the most unlikely of opponents as well, Sheffield United, which was also Sheffield United's first victory of the season, but we'll come on to them in a moment's time. Wolves lost that one 2-1. They are back at home for this fixture, and their opponents Tottenham picked up their first defeat of the season, a 4-1 defeat against Chelsea. Of course, Tottenham with 9 men in that game, and they looked really, really good for the first 20 minutes, and then of course the red cards came their way, and still they managed to hold on so well, but eventually the two-man advantage for Chelsea it was just too much for them in the end, and ended up pretty much getting battered 4-1. But of course, 2 suspensions in that game, red cards, Udogie and Romero, 2 of the best defenders for Tottenham this season, and then Van der Ven went down with a hamstring injury. Then also James Maddison went out off with an injury, and Tottenham, they've already got a few injury problems already with the likes of Ben Davies and Perisic still already out injured. So they've got no defenders left, Tottenham, unless they're going to play Højbjerg at the back like they did in the other game, out of position midfielder in defence, or whether they're going to change to a 3-back formation. But I think Tottenham's going to draw this one 1-1. They're in a pretty bad place at the moment, injury-wise and suspension-wise. For me, I think it's going to hinge on James Maddison. If he's back, he's a creative player that can really get them a win here. So if James Maddison's back, I would edge it to Tottenham 2-1. But at the moment, I think Wolverhampton Wanderers, they can capitalise on this Tottenham side, and they can pick up a point from it. Back at home, they've done pretty well so far prior to their 2-1 defeat against Sheffield United. So I think they can pick up something from this game. We move on now to the Emirates. Arsenal against Burnley. Arsenal losing their first game of the season as well against Newcastle United, losing that game 1-0. Controversial goal in that game ended up being given. Arsenal ended up losing the game, but they are back at the Emirates for this game, and against the Burnley side, I think Arsenal can pick up all 3 points in this game. I'm going to go for a 3-0 home victory. We move on to Selhurst Park, where Crystal Palace are taking on Everton. Crystal Palace in their last game 2-0 winners against Burnley. Everton, they picked up a 1-1 draw against Brighton and Hove Albion. For the last couple of weeks, I've said Crystal Palace are going to pick up 0-0 draws with their opponents Everton for this one as well. I think we're finally going to see that 0-0 draw, and that is what I am going to go for. Yes, not very entertaining, but point for both sides seems about right. We move on to Old Trafford now, where Manchester United are taking on Luton Town. Man United 1-0 victory against Fulham in their last game, just squeezed by with that Bruno Fernandes late goal. Their opponents, Luton Town, they did very well against Liverpool in their last game in that 1-1 draw. It's going to be a tight game this again, but I think Man United will just get through. I'm going to back both sides to score, but a 2-1 victory for Manchester United in this one. Next up, onto the Vitality Stadium, where Bournemouth are taking on Newcastle United, where I think Newcastle United have got an easy win here. Bournemouth this season, they've not been at it, and 6-1 defeat against Manchester City in their last game, and I think Bournemouth are going to lose this one as well. I will back them to get one, but I'm going to go for a 3-1 away win for Newcastle United in this game. We move on to the Sunday fixtures now, where Aston Villa are taking on Fulham. Aston Villa back at Villa Park after their 2-0 away defeat against Nottingham Forest. Of course, the goals have been coming at Villa Park, and they'll want to bounce back from that defeat as well. Yeah, it'll be a tight game. Fulham aren't in the best of form, but just a narrow 1-0 defeat against Man United in their last game. They have been pretty close games so far involving Fulham this season, but I think it'll be another tight one. But I think Aston Villa will just get by with a 2-1 home win. And then onto the Amex Stadium, where Brighton are taking on Sheffield United. Sheffield United picking up their first win of the season, a 2-1 win over Wolverhampton Wanderers. And Brighton not won in their last 5 games now, 2 draws in their last 2. 1-1 draw against Everton. Prior to that, a 1-1 draw against Fulham. And, well, I think Brighton will pick up all 3 points in this game. It's still a Sheffield United side that, of course, will be, picked up a little bit more confidence from their last game, but they were at home. Sheffield United away from home this season, they have been poor. So I think it's a chance for Brighton now to get their first win in a while. I think they'll keep a clean sheet as well. I'm going to go for a 2-0 home win for Brighton. Next up, we move on to Anfield, where Liverpool are taking on Brentford. Liverpool, they'll want to bounce back after they just narrowly rescued a point in their last game against Luton Town, with Luis Diaz scoring that late equaliser. Brentford, they've won their last 3 now. Last game, 3-2 victory over West Ham United. I think there'll be quite a few goals in this game as well, but I'm going to back Liverpool to pick up a 3-1 home win for this game. Just at Anfield this season, they've been able to score the goals. They've been picking up the points. They should be all right for this game. And then on to the London Stadium for the penultimate game of this game week. It is West Ham facing Nottingham Forest. West Ham lost their last 3 games, of course. The most recent, as I said above, 3-2 defeat against Brentford. Nottingham Forest picked up a win in their last game for the first time in quite a while. The 2-0 victory against Aston Villa, which was pretty good victory, but they are away from home again, and West Ham, they're struggling, and I think they're going to turn their form around here. I'm going to go for a 2-0 home win for the Hammers. And then we finish off at Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea are taking on Manchester City. Chelsea 4-1 winners against Tottenham in their last game. It was a struggle for them, but they finally managed to get through the 9-man Tottenham side, and scored quite a lot of goals towards the end of that game. Their opponents, Manchester City, Manchester City, of course, they beat Bournemouth 6-1. It's just going to be a completely different test for Chelsea. Of course, Manchester City, they're just on another level. Chelsea picked up a good result in their last game, but I don't think they're going to pick up anything from this one. Interesting fact, the last 4 times that these 2 sides have faced each other in the Premier League, it has ended in a 1-0 victory to Manchester City. I am just going to change that to a 2-0 victory for Manchester City to wrap up my Game Week 12 score predictions. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you are not already, I'll see you all in my next video.